Hey everybody, what's up? How you doing? It's a Geros as usual, the host of this very channel. And you know how we've been doing it every weekend. We always have amazing guests talking about different topics, inspiring you out there, who's out there, struggling with so many things in life, especially regarding your healthy lifestyle. So today's no different. We have an amazing guest, but before I bring in my guest, please remember, if you're watching this stream later, remember to comment on this very channel. Remember to like the stream. And if you're watching us live, one thing you shouldn't forget is if you have any questions, especially about our topic today, remember to drop your questions in the live chat. I'll be putting your questions straight to my guests so that you have your answers in your living room, wherever you're streaming us from. But otherwise, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're streaming us from all over the world. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that red subscribe button. But also, remember to join our membership. Our membership packs are so affordable, very cheap, starting as low as 99 cents. So do not hesitate to, keep clicking that join button so that you can have these amazing packs. So without taking much more of your time, we have an interesting topic today, which is dirty culture. I feel I don't have so much knowledge about this topic, but I have someone who has an experience with dirty culture, the unbearing weight of dirty culture. Her name is called Sara. She's going to be sharing us with her experience, perhaps giving us the best tips how to overcome dirty culture. Without wasting more time, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sara.
Hi,
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm profoundly honored to have you today on my channel.
And I am profoundly honored to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and um, before we even dive into that topic, we need to let people know who is Sara, where does she come from, where does she get the authenticity, talk about dirty culture and that kind of stuff. Let's know that first.
Yeah, so my name is Sara. I started a YouTube channel called Lose Weight Sara about 1 year ago. Next year, it'll be a whole year since I started. And I'm from Oklahoma in the United States. I've lived here for about 10 years. Originally, I was from the state of New Jersey and I moved here. And really, where I wanted to talk, or why I wanted to talk about diet culture, was because I lived it for many, many years of my life. I am almost 40 years old. I have just a couple years to go. And I think just this last year, I learned so much and really firsthand how much that diet culture really had impacted my life in a not so good way. So I really wanted to share just, kind of a little bit about that experience, what I went through, and how I got to where I am now, and how I ultimately now am losing weight in a way that works for me. It's something that I can make a lifestyle and do forever. And it's not, I'm not putting all my value into being, thin.
Oh, perfect, perfect. I mean, somebody out there, you get what we are talking about today. So, what's this dirty culture in the first place?
So diet culture, there's a lot of different definitions. It's not like a clinical term or anything like that, and it's really come about in recent years. But really what diet culture is, and I think many women, some men too, but I think mostly women have experienced this, where they place almost a tremendous amount of worth on being thin. And for those people who have kind of succumbed to diet culture, you're always on a diet, you're always trying some kind of new diet. Whenever you feel like you need to lose a few pounds or you need to lose a lot of weight, you try to find the latest diet. What's everybody doing to lose weight? And it becomes this cycle that you're basically stuck in, where you're dependent on a diet to lose weight. So you'll do, Weight Watchers or keto or Atkins or South Beach. You're always doing a diet. And then as soon as you go off of the diet, you're gaining the weight back. and then you're going back on a diet. So it's not only, just the culture of that, like always being on a diet, but getting stuck in a cycle of looking for a new diet or trying a new diet. And there's always something revolving around weight.
Oh, perfect. You've said something that in the fitness world they call yo-yo dieting, right?
I'm sorry, you cut out there. Would you say that again?
And you've talked about something in fitness. Most people know it as yo-yo dieting, right?
Yes, yo-yo dieting, crash
Yeah,
diet.
where it's like a significant amount of weight in a shortest period of time, only to regain that weight even more.
Exactly. And I have done that many, many
Oh,
times for most of my life. So it took me a very long time to realize, like, I don't want to be doing this. Why am I doing this? And that's when I really started kind of educating myself on what diet culture really is and how it affects people.
oh, so you've hit a little bit of, the examples of dirty cultures, perhaps. Are there more examples when it comes to, dirty culture apart from what you've talked about?
I think a good way or a good example would be I'm trying to think of a way to word this. Um, if you are putting a lot of value on the number on the scale, and the number on the scale upsets you, and it's a hard thing to get over. But that's also a part of diet culture is being almost, I don't want to use the word addicted because that's a clinical term, right? But being kind of hooked on the scale and attaching a worth to that number that displays on that device.
I know this comes especially looking at people who are overweight and obese. Let's look at their body image, how the community around them perceive them to be.
Yeah, and this is something I still have weight to lose. I haven't lost all my weight. I'm trying to lose 100 pounds, and so far I've lost 35. So this is something that I still am really dealing with. But I think a lot of people outside of, the weight loss community will look at people who are obese and they automatically think like, oh, they're lazy. They just need to stop eating. They just push the plate away and put on a pair of sneakers and go for a walk. And a lot of times it's a lot more deeply rooted than that. And then also on the flip side of that, there are people who are obese who think like, oh, I can't lose weight. Oh, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. And so they kind of like perpetuate that almost. But it's not really, neither one is seeing either side like the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. It absolutely makes a lot of sense because I understand people would define health according to how you look when you're a little bit fat, obese, and overweight. In their mind, they think that person is unhealthy. That's what the community has, taken everything to be. For you to be healthy, you need to be looking so small, you need to have that six pack, you need to know such kind of stuff, which I think it's on the wrong side. And it's a little bit, traumatizing to these people, making them lose their confidence in themselves and such kind of stuff. It's a little bit traumatizing. So let's look at the harmful effects of a special diet culture and how to perhaps overcome it.
Yeah. So it's absolutely crushing to a person's confidence when you are kind of sucked into this because you're basically failing over and over again. And that's not a good feeling, right? Because you tried this diet, as soon as you went off, you gained weight. And so it's just when you do that over and over, it can be really, it's defeating, number one. And then number two, it makes it even more difficult the next time that you decide you want to lose weight to try to find something that's going to work for you because you're scared of failing again, which makes sense, right? Because nobody wants to do all this work and then just put all the weight back on. Like, I don't think anybody sets out like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And so for me, when I made that realization this time around, I said, okay, I cannot do a diet again. I just can't. And this came from me doing, I did keto in 2017 and I lost around 60 pounds. I was really slim. Okay. Yeah. Well, after I stopped doing keto, I hated my life, first of all. I love carbohydrates. I like tortillas. I like bread. And sure there are substitutes, but they're not good. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But so I did not enjoy my life while I was on that. My mood was impacted. I was cranky all the time. And it was just not something that I was going to be able to do for my whole life. So I stopped, right? I stopped. I'm like, okay, I lost all this weight. I don't have to do keto anymore. And over the next year, I gained back the 60 pounds and I probably added about another 30 to that number. So it was like I did all of this stuff and I was miserable for 6 or 7 months of my life. And now I'm having to start all over again. So I was like, when I first, I think it was, I'm going to say it was in maybe December of 2018. I got back from a trip to Disney World and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do keto. I just couldn't get into it. Right. And another, couple months go by. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this. And that didn't work out either. I did it for a couple weeks and just was like, ugh, whatever. And then in January of 2020, that's when I really was like, okay, I have to find, I cannot do a diet again. That like, this has to be a lifestyle change. I have to find ways of eating that I can enjoy, that I don't feel miserable, that I don't hate my life, that I can do forever. And so it took a really long time though for me to kind of get into a flow and learn. I really had to relearn how to eat and have a healthy relationship with food, because I really believe that food doesn't have morals, right? It's not good or evil. It's not good or bad. It's food, right? And it's and so in my world, I don't even really call stuff junk food. I call it like a less healthy choice, but I can have some in moderation. The difference is, whereas, I would eat a box of brownies before, now I have one and I say, okay, that's good. I got my one, right? And I just move on. So it's really, really hard to get there. And it takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of learning by failing. I am not perfect. I have failed several times where, I just got out of control or went a little overboard. But something else I learned, and this is also in diet culture, if you fail your diet, the feeling is like you failed, and now it's become a whole week of cheating, cheat meals. And in the world that I'm in now, I don't have that. I don't call anything a cheat. I call it a treat, but I don't call it a cheat. There's no negativity around food for me anymore. Cause like I said, it's not good or bad. It's not, evil. It's just there's healthy choices and there are less healthy choices. Hard to get there, but it's possible. It's like anything else, takes practice.
Oh, I mean, that's really interesting. There's something I want to talk about here, especially when it comes to diet. If a diet you cannot, if it's a diet that you cannot sustain for the rest of your life, then it's not you worth trying that very diet. Because I understand you're going to try your keto, but how long can you do keto? If you can do it for the rest of your life, perfect, do your keto. If you can do low carb for the rest of your life, perfect, do that. If you can't, you just want to be like someone, oh my God, next week I'm starting on my diet. If you want to be someone, next month I'm starting on my diet, then that's the beginning of your failures in life, I think. That's what I'm thinking. That's my perspective. If there's a diet that you want to do, it should be a diet that you will sustain for the rest of your life, the entire life. That's how I look at diet.
I agree 100%. Yeah, it has to be something. I just eat regular food, and even on the foods that I previously, so like a good example that I use all the time when I'm talking about like how I changed my mindset. I used to love going to Popeye's Chicken here and getting a big spicy chicken sandwich. It's like it's delicious, like it's amazing. Okay, not even gonna lie, like it's amazing. And I used to have it maybe once or twice a week. And just think about like, oh, I mean, it's loaded with fat and calories. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's not a healthy choice by any stretch of the imagination. Like it is something that should be a treat once in a while only. So what I do now so that I can still get my spicy chicken sandwich, if you go on YouTube and you just search healthy Popeye spicy chicken sandwich, there are about 8,000 videos that come up with recipes that will teach you how to make it at home. So now I make one that's a couple hundred calories. I think it's maybe by the time you're done, it's like 250 calories and very low fat because you're not deep frying it. And it's delicious. I mean, it tastes. I'm not to brag, but like I've got my Popeyes knockoff sauce. I've got it pretty down at this point. I feel really good about it. And it's delicious, but I make it using light mayonnaise instead of full fat, right? I use it making sriracha, has nothing in it, and just whole wheat flour. And then when you bake, I air fry it instead of deep frying it. And I get a whole wheat bun instead of, a big puffy white bread bun. It's just swapping it for healthier choices. And so that works for me because then I'm getting that, like I get that satisfied feeling like, oh, I got my spicy chicken sandwich and I'm happy and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And so it's just learning healthier ways to cook, learning healthier versions of things that you do that you like. I mean, there's even healthier versions of like desserts and cookies that you can find that are just better choices and healthier choices and aren't going to sabotage your weight loss goals.
Oh, so before you even move further, there's this definition of especially how someone is healthier than the other, especially based on the waist circumference. So since you're in America, I wanted to ask, what's the average waist circumference of an American, especially um, the healthier perception that this person is healthier depending on their waist circumference?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. I don't have an exact number to give you. But I can tell you that, I mean, ideally here in America, thinness is the ideal. And I'm not saying that negatively. I would say probably like a size, like I'm going by jean sizes here, girls jean size, like size 0, size 3, size 4, like the smaller sizes are what the like ideal is. I think it's slowly changing, and I do mean slowly. I do mean slowly. It is slowly changing. But there is still a lot of stigma around obesity and thinness and trying to get down. If you look at any of our fashion magazines, the models are all still really, really smaller women, smaller and taller women, I should say. There are many companies that are trying to be more size inclusive, which I think is nice. But there's still like a long way to go for that.
Oh, perfect. Let me first shout out some people here. Simon, thanks for joining us. Brenda is saying hello. Esther, I see you. Nick, I see you. Guys, thanks so much for coming through. And if you have any questions, if you feel there's something that you really want to understand, please let me know in the chat so that I can put your questions straight to my guest. So how can someone resist this dirty culture? Someone just getting started, they are overweight, they are obese, and all that kind of stuff. How do they diseased from this dietary culture?
That is such a great question. And I've done a lot of reflecting to kind of figure out how I got there. And honestly, before you do anything else, it's got to start up here. You have to shift your mindset because here's the thing, right? Like weight loss, it's not really complicated. It's, a reduction in calories, being in a calorie deficit, and typically exercising more, right? Like either burning more energy and reducing your calories, right? You got to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight, regardless of what type of eating you decide to do. But really, really where it starts, like getting yourself out of the diet culture kind of lifestyle is up here. You have to understand that you don't have to do anything crazy to lose weight. You do not have to force yourself to do things that you hate or don't like. You just need to make better choices. And really, that starts up here. And I think a big part of it too is loving yourself. Like, care about yourself enough that you want to do this in a way that you can sustain for your entire life, not for just 6 months while you lose 50 pounds, right? Like I experience, but something you can do lifelong, because otherwise you're just trapped and all you're doing this was a big thing for me. Okay. All you're doing is you're constantly on a weight loss journey. And
Okay.
I really decided this time around for me, and I think anybody who's just starting needs to decide, like, how many more times in your life do you want to do this? Do you want to do it again? If you don't, you need to find something you're gonna be able to do forever, not just for 6 months or a year. And so for me, like, this was the last time, and I say it all the time, like, I do not want to lose weight again. I don't want to have to lose weight again. This needs to be it. And up here, I'm ready, I'm committed, and I'm making it a lifestyle change instead of just a diet.
Oh, perfect. And that's what we discussed. If you're trying to lose weight, it shouldn't be like, I mean, either maybe if you're a celebrity, you want to maybe go shoot a movie, you want to go in a video, like there's something put you on pressure, especially to put to the public. That's when you can, quicken your weight loss because you want to see results, because there's something you're chasing that you want to put to the public. But if you're just an ordinary person who's just trying to go about their businesses, their life, someone who's just trying to live a healthy lifestyle, then I personally think you shouldn't rush into things. But also, like how you said, you have to try to learn about your health. Don't just enter into something like blindly. Try to make your own research, try to read the basics, how your body functions, try to read about food, and try to read the research papers and all that kind of stuff, so that you're not misled. Because I understand there's a lot of conflicting information on the internet, on YouTube. So be the judge of your life. Get all this knowledge and go read, then start sieving everything that you have read. Works for me, what doesn't work for me. Because as far as I know, what works for Sarah might not perhaps work for me, because our bodies are different. You might
Right.
find one ketogenic diet worked for her, but somebody else on keto, they didn't do well. That's why sometimes weight loss journeys, you have to have a journey. You have to try some things and they fail, and then but do not give up. Keep trying, as long as you know at the end of the day I will reach there. Then when you get that perfect diet, stick to it for the rest of your life. But like we said, you do not have to starve yourself of your favorite foods, because you understand, as you try to live healthy, it's not health is not only defined by you having a six pack, by you having a small waist. Let's talk about stuff like mental health. I mean, for example, if you're always obsessed about food all the time, then mentally you're not okay, you're not stable. That's the problem that most people face. They're about to eat something, then they remember they are dieting, so they stop. If you get what I'm saying. I think that's the main challenge that we are facing right now. Like, people are so much obsessed with with their diet, and sometimes you would think you want them to see a behavior therapist.
And something to really add to that is forever, as long as I remember, even when I was a little girl and watching my mom, right? Watching my mom, she was doing the Jane Fonda, exercises and the spandex and everything back in the 80s. But every single message that we have seen in or on TV, in infomercials, in TV shows. You've got like Biggest Loser and Extreme Makeover and TV shows like that. Every single one is all about how fast can you lose this weight? How fast can you do it? It's not, you don't need to do it fast. Like, you don't need to do it fast. Slow down. Slow down. Take your time, because and I think that's part of this, and this is very much part of diet culture. It's like, well, I'm not losing weight fast enough, so I'm failing. I'm going to cheat on my diet this way, right? Like, this starts as kind of like mental tumbling into like a downward spiral, I guess is the word I would use. But that's been thrown at us forever. Like, lose weight fast. You want to lose weight fast? Do this. Lose weight faster. Do that. And why? We didn't put on the weight fast. I know for me, it was like a 2-year journey to get to my heaviest point. So I didn't put the weight on really fast. I probably could have if I wanted to, but I didn't. It was a slow combination of me eating too much and not doing enough activity over the course of a couple of years, from 2017 to the end of 2019. And so if we could get ourselves out of that, right? If we could flip the switch on that and change the messaging to be like, you didn't gain your weight overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight either. And again, that's very much related to like crash dieting and fad dieting and yo-yo dieting, where you lose the weight. Yeah, maybe you lose it in 5 months, 6 months, whatever. But what happens then when you're done?
Exactly.
It's not healthy.
So I think that's very, very important for people to know. Yes, you've lost the weight, but then how can you maintain that? That's why most people get challenges. Like, you want to lose 50 pounds and you've lost 50 pounds. What next?
Yeah. And there are very few structured diets out there that set you up with a plan for maintaining it for the rest of your life. I think the only two that I know of that actually talk about like a maintenance phase are the Atkins diet and the like South Beach diet. Because Weight Watchers, you're counting points for the rest of your life. It doesn't really set you up to not be on Weight Watchers.
Exactly. And let's talk about that. So, because at some point you told us you had to do a lot of yo-yo dieting and all that kind of stuff, till when you figured out something that was working for you, something that you could sustain. So, what's that something that you're doing right now that is, keeping your trend going exponentially?
Yeah, really when I shifted my vision of food, that was when it clicked for me. When I realized that I could make the things that I regularly enjoyed eating, if I could just make healthier versions of them. I talked about that chicken sandwich before, but a lot of what I eat is just a different version or a healthier version. And that means typically lower calorie and lower fat and higher protein version of something I ate. Another good example I could give you, I love grilled cheese sandwiches. So now I make my grilled cheese with whole wheat bread. Instead of using butter on the pan, like full fat butter, I use I can't believe it's not butter spray. It's a butter substitute. It's almost 0 calories. I spray that on the bread. The cheese squares that I use are low fat. I also sometimes use fat-free cheddar cheese, just swapping out. So I'm still enjoying a grilled cheese once a week, but it's, instead of being 400 calories, it's 200 calories. And I can have a cup of soup with it. And the soup is low fat and low calorie. So I'm having this whole meal. I'm just finding ways to make them lower calorie. I do track my food. I track it in. I track it using my Fitbit app. It has a food tracker built into it, so I keep track of that, and I just make sure that I am in a calorie deficit every single day. But
Oh,
sometimes, I mean, I have things that I like. Like if I want, I'll use an example: Oreo cookies. Okay, instead of eating a whole sleeve, because before in my past, an Oreo cookie, it was like, oh, you can't eat Oreos and lose weight.
yeah,
That's not a diet food. That's not healthy. And they're not, right? Let's be real. It's not a healthy
yeah,
choice. Oreos aren't a
of
healthy choice.
course.
But if you have two of them or three of them instead of a whole sleeve or package of them, then it's not so much. It takes the, you see how I'm taking the evil away from the Oreos. Oreos aren't evil, and Oreos don't make you eat them, but they're sugary. You're going to want more, right? They taste good. They make you kind of feel good, right, when you eat them. But when you tell yourself like, oh, I can have two, and you make it, it's no longer a forbidden food that is bad. It's not a bad food, because of course, like everybody, you want that, right? It's like,
Of
well,
course, you want it.
I can't find it. I don't know that I would know anybody who's like, oh, I don't want an Oreo. You know?
And like you said, I think it all down to being in a caloric deficit. No matter what you eat, whether it's your bad carbs that have been branded unhealthy or healthy, it all goes down to how many calories you're eating. So saying that certain foods are healthy, some are not. Yes, that's very true. But then if you're focusing on losing some pounds, then your focus should be on how do I create a consistent caloric deficit.
Exactly, exactly. And that was when I really let that click, when I really realized that there was not going to be some magic bullet, and that I had to figure out how to eat properly again. And it just all kind of came together, and I was able to really, it's actually kind of fun now, right? Like when I think about a food that I used to like, I haven't had fast food now. We get a takeout pizza once a week because I have kids, I have kids, and I'm not cruel. We can get a pizza, right? Instead of having four slices of pizza, I have two, you know? But besides that, like finding ways, what's a good example I could use? I keep going back to that Popeye's chicken sandwich because that's my favorite one. It's like one of my favorite meals.
Yes.
But any fast food that you can think of, you can make a healthier version of it. And it's kind of become fun and a challenge. Like, okay, how do I make this so that it's less calories and less fat? And I'll tell you, 99.9% of the time, I end up on my phone on YouTube searching healthy version of a Big Mac.
Yeah.
And there's a million recipes for it. So it's really not that hard. But sometimes, like when I try to think of it on my own, and I'm like, oh, how can I make this healthier? Oh, okay, I'll do this. If I swap this for this, it becomes less calorie. It's just it gets the creative juices going.
Yeah, and so in one way or the other, don't you think this traditional, let's say, for instance, let's talk about the KFC, the McDonald's, especially since your population out there actually has realized that we actually need to be preparing ourselves this certain kind of foods, then go away from all these fast foods. Don't you think their consumption is going down of this, especially from these big restaurants?
Yeah, I don't, maybe a little bit because of the pandemic. Maybe, but I don't think so really. And I'll tell you, it just in my neighborhood, I could, in walking distance, okay, I could go and walk. I could go to Arby's, I could go to Taco Bell, I could go to Taco Bueno, I could go to McDonald's. There's also a Mexican restaurant, there's a Pizza Hut, a Domino's. This is all on the intersection right by my house within walking distance, okay?
You have
That's
so many
a lot.
temptations.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Options, and that's just one tiny bit of neighborhood in my city. Okay, there's like a whole nother side that's also any type of fast food you can want. So I don't know if it's I in where I live in Oklahoma, I'm not bad mouthing Oklahomans out here, but we're kind of a test market. So a lot of new fast food places start here so they can test it out and test stuff on us. So here is there's a lot of I know there's a lot of consumption. You cannot drive past a Chick-fil-A except on Sunday and not see a line at the drive-through.
I don't.
It's and a big part of that is convenience. Because it's convenient. You know, it's not.
Exactly. It's convenient, but as we all know, these industries, these restaurants, they know how our minds work. Our minds love sugar, our minds have carbs, our minds have such kind of foods, and they have to do exactly what our minds have. So that's how it is.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And they definitely, I mean, I think we can all relate to like they're very good at putting the image in front of you. Like when you see a Big Mac on TV, I mean, it's like this big, it's got every
Exactly.
layer is perfect. Then you go get it, like, and you're like, oh, I want one, right? And you go get one, and it's like this sad, wimpy, kind of sloppy, just slapped on there.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so they use that, and gosh, that's a whole other conversation. Is like marketing, food marketing, right? Is just really, it is amazing how they get in
Yeah,
your.
and especially if because I understand like in the US you have FDA, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, and I understand some of these things because sometimes I mean research has been out there that tells you this kind of product healthy wise no, this kind of beverage healthy wise no, but then they're still approved by FDA and other kind of so many institutes and other kind of stuff, and you're like yes you know there's some things unhealthy but then the production is authorized, so what next for the population? That's why I think all this wellness and all this thing like is stamped on because the government is not really putting in so much and trying to fight all that kind of stuff. They are just leaving it to individuals, and yet individuals cannot do pretty much about it.
Honestly, with the political environment the way it is here in the United States, it's like a weird time to be alive right now. The political environment is here. I almost feel like if the government was just like, nah, eat whatever you want, it would work better. Most people don't want the government involved in anything, and I feel like anything that they, especially recently, gosh, anything that they do tell us, like a lot of people just automatically are like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So it's kind of like it's just a
Yeah,
weird time.
because I was just looking at the standard American diet, and I think most of the population is actually now going against the standard American diet.
Yeah, I know. It's they used to tell us, don't eat a lot of fat, don't eat a lot of sugar, which I mean, obviously, right? But I really do think the bigger shift came. They used to have. I don't know if you ever saw the food pyramid. That was a big thing that I mean, when I was a kid, the government like pushed out. It was the food pyramid, and it showed you, what was good at the bottom, but it was all bread and grains and cereals.
Exactly.
And I mean, now you would look at that and you'd be like, what? That doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's evolved. I think a lot of people here in America, I think, I don't want to say most people, I don't want to speak for everybody, but um, there's a bit of distrust. And so I feel like whatever they put out would be rebelled against almost. Um, Even when Michelle Obama was trying to get healthier foods in the schools for kids, there were people who were so hateful about that. They're like, no, kids deserve their square pizza. It's like, it's so
Yes.
weird.
It's just so weird, but regardless, we have to move on and do what we can do.
It's
Shout out to August Silver Fitness is here. He's saying good afternoon to
buggy.
there's Teresa Kiva. You're saying good morning wherever you're
Hello.
see you. Thanks for coming through Layers Life. Thanks for coming through, guys. Thanks for sparing that time and coming to to listen to this conversation. So, like I was saying, if there's something that is typically confusing in this world, is diet, especially with the food industries, because I understand, for example, a food industry will want to produce a certain product, and then what they will do is they will try to fund the research about this very product, so that the research that comes out favors them because they're putting a lot of money. So for us, when we come and then read these research papers and they are recommending this product, we think, oh my God, we are good on this side. And yet the same industry is the one that funded, the research in a certain product, which is a little bit confusing. You don't know which now research paper to trust, which one not to trust. So we just hanging in balance there.
Yeah, I think that's really hard. And that's kind of why I say, you know, if you enjoy a food, like either like eat it or eat it and eat less of it, or find a healthier version of it, right? Because it's gonna, I mean, the research on everything, just look, I mean, carbohydrates and fat are really good examples. Like it went to like, no, low fat, low fat. You gotta, don't eat any fat. Like fat is bad, fat is evil. And then it went to like, oh, no carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are bad. They're evil. You don't want to eat carbohydrates. And it's like, well, some fat is okay, but it's this particular fat that you don't want to have too much of because that's evil. And I mean, just in that's in the last maybe 20 years. And it's like, what? What do I do? Right? Like, so I think it's really easy to get confused. I have never based what I am eating off of research. Anytime I did a diet, it was pretty much because I like Googled the diet or whatever and just was like, oh, okay, this is what you do. This is how you do it. Right. That's why I really, and I know I keep going back to saying this, I really feel like it's important to choose a way of eating that you enjoy, that doesn't restrict you too much, because I think restrictions, I mean, if you're going to put morals on anything, restrictions are really quite evil. Just think about that for a second. Like, taking
Yeah,
taking a
I
food
mean,
type away
we,
from
we,
somebody.
we all have that social aspect of life. I mean, you have to go out, get that glass of wine, get that burger, get that pizza once in a while. It shouldn't dominate your life. I think that's what we are trying to say. Let it not be an everyday thing, if you get what I'm saying. Let it be maybe once a week, or twice a week. But also, she talked about moderation. It's very key. Do not eat that same thing as if there is no tomorrow. If you understand what I'm saying. Because too much of anything in this life, in this world, is bad. Like even what you call a healthy food, too much of it is not.
Hmm.
So the most important thing is moderation is what is key, I think, in this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And it's just, and I don't think like right now, like I use a calorie counter right now because I'm actively trying to lose weight. But most of the times, like I've gotten in the year or so that I've been doing this, I already kind of know where my calories are at because I'm just accustomed to it. But I do try to be very precise. Like I will measure and weigh my food because even like sometimes the packages lie about how much of something is in something, right? So I think it's very important to do that. But that's part of the learning process. And it takes time to learn. And you need to be kind of flexible and kind to yourself and say, okay, you are relearning basically how to eat, right? And repairing your relationship with food that, you had in the past given a good or bad label, right? And now we know like I can have a little bit, I can have one or two Oreos. It's not going to kill me. It's not going to ruin my diet. I'm just not doing it every day. I'm certainly cutting back significantly, right? Um, and I'm learning so that as I go on, once I reach my actual weight loss goals, because right now I'm calorie counting, so I know that I'm in a deficit. Once I reach my weight loss goals, I am set up for success, and I know like what I can eat, what I don't want to eat, and I know how much to eat without going overboard. And I think for me that was really a big part of it. And I'm not going to lie, like it's taken me a long. I'm not a fast loser, and that goes back to what I said earlier, right? Is like I had to get myself out of that mentality. So I'm losing maybe a pound a week. I've done, since I've been on YouTube, I've done 40 weigh-ins. Actually today at 10 o'clock or 10:15 Central Time is my first weigh-in day of March. And I've done, so this is my 40th weigh-in, and I've lost 35 pounds. That
Wow.
average, I mean, when you figure that out, that's about a pound. It's almost a pound a week. It's
A
just
week.
slightly less, but it's slow and steady. And the really amazing thing, I have never followed a program or diet for as long as I have this, which means it's part of my life, right?
Yeah, it's part of it, but let's talk about something which is calorie counting. How does someone come to establish their maintenance calories and how much they should go into a deficit?
The best thing,
I know most people out there they aren't calorie counting. Most of them they think it's not necessary. It's easier to
oh, I
establish.
know.
I should eat and all that kind of stuff. Talk about calorie counting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it kind of funny when people are like, "Oh, I don't do calorie counting." I'm like, "Well, you have to be counting something. How do you know that you're in a calorie deficit? Because if you're trying to lose weight, you have to know that you're in a deficit. Do you just know?" I give a lot of credit to people who successfully lose weight that way. But that would not work for me. I need to know that I'm in a calorie deficit because I am actively trying to lose weight. For me, I feel like it's just like anything else, right? It becomes a habit. I don't even think about it now, to be completely honest. I get on my phone. I mean, it's so easy. I'll try to show you guys here. If I had like a package of food, I don't have anything here right now. But let me go to a day that I tracked something. So my Fitbit app, it all tracks it right there. It's not hard. And if I want to add a food, I mean, you could see all the stuff there, right? Like sugar-free stuff, fat-free stuff. Um, if I wanted to, I could scan a barcode, right? Like I don't even have to type in anything. I could just scan the barcode on the bottle of coffee creamer, for example. Um, so, I mean, I know it's not for everybody, and I do encourage people to really find what works best for them. But for me, like I need to know that I'm in a calorie deficit because really it doesn't matter what way of eating you're doing. Like that's how you lose weight is you're in a calorie deficit.
So does the app help you establish, especially your daily calories that you're supposed to take and your maintenance calories, so that you know I'm going into a deficit by 500 or 600 or 800 calories?
This particular app does because I do wear a Fitbit and it tracks my activity. However, I don't usually go by that. What I used is it's a website. It's called TDEE Calculator, I think .com, which is a great link to share with your audience. But it basically measures your. I'm
Your
not
total
trying.
daily energy expenditure.
Thank you. See, I leave it to the professionals to say the professional thing.
Yeah.
But that was how I established like my baseline and where I needed to be in a calorie deficit. So I go off of that because sometimes like I've met my step and calorie goal when I've been sitting in a car on a bumpy road. So it's not always the Fitbit. I love it. It helps keep me on track, but it's not always accurate because I could go like this and get 5 steps.
Yeah.
Right. I don't do that. I'm not a cheater, but I mean that could happen. So I don't use the Fitbits like measurements. I use my calorie calculations that I got from the TDEE calculator, and I go off of that. So on any given day, I'm eating on the low side 1350 calories, on the high side 1550. So that just depends on my activity level too. If I was really active in a given day, like if I went on a really long hike or something, I go up only by 100 calories, just depending on how many hours. So, like, I just am always checking to make sure I'm in that deficit.
Oh, Ketosis Focused. Good morning. You're welcome.
Hi, Lydia.
I had her, I think last 2 weeks, and my interview with her was super amazing. It was well welcome. I experienced how she has lost all that amount of weight with just her keto was amazing. She's now a keto expert, if I must say that. Welcome, Ketosis Focus.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say something because that's where most people get confused a lot, especially when it comes to establishing their total daily energy expenditure. But now I want you to let me know how you're incorporating a little bit of exercise in this whole routine. Are you doing any kind of exercise to take your weight loss faster?
So definitely not to lose weight faster, but just to live a healthier
Yeah,
lifestyle. Uh,
exactly.
yeah. So this was a big learning thing for me too, because I think if you go on Instagram and you look through, if you follow any type of fitness accounts, you see all them, they're doing these crazy moves and they're doing burpees and they're doing mountain climbers. And for somebody who is almost 300 pounds, that's that's going to be very difficult to do. Not impossible. I'm not saying impossible. Everything is possible, right? But it's going to be very difficult. And is it really safe? And I think we get that thrown in our face a lot too. Because I mean, just scrolling through Instagram, you see people doing these crazy exercises. For me, I hate doing stuff like that. I don't like it. Like I don't enjoy that. That would never, ever in a million years be enjoyable to me. So for me, it was just like food. I had to find things that I enjoy doing and consistently do them. And the big reason that it was like so important to me to find things that I like to do is because for me, like the thought of going to the gym, like that's like, it's already just thinking about it. I'm like, oh, that's grueling. Like, I have this really, like, it's a stigma that I have and I own that. I'm not saying everybody does, but I don't enjoy going to the gym. What do I enjoy? I love going for walks. I love walking my dog. I love hiking. I'm going on a big hike to the tallest waterfall in Oklahoma in April, which I'm like so looking forward to. I like jogging. I like that. I like trying to increase my time jogging. I have a competitive nature, so I like competing with myself to do better. Um, and I would say like I said, it's just like food. Like do the things that you enjoy so that you don't hate what you're doing. Because if you hate it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's like some people that are obsessed every time they think about losing weight, they'll think about the gym. And it's just unfortunate that way. And maybe even I made a video, I think I uploaded that video 2 days ago talking about energy systems and how your body especially works when you're doing exercise and which energy system is at play when you're burning fat, which energy system is at play when you're burning typical sugar or glycogen. Because most people confuse, going to the gym and then you're running at the treadmill, I don't know which kind of minutes, and like that's going to put in a caloric deficit and lose weight. But then I was telling them that, hey, walking alone is so efficient when it comes to losing fat because I understand most people who are obese and overweight, much of their weight is from fat. And I understand doing a little bit of strength training is okay because you don't just want to lose fat and then remain with nothing. If you don't develop your muscles, also you kind of look weird. But if you're someone who still cannot do gym, you can just do your walking, your jogging, because that's what predominantly burns fat. And of course, sometimes I'll tell them that you can produce the highest amount of energy when you burn fat. For example, you can spend the entire 12 hours, days, doing an exercise, but at low intensity. But you can't spend 1 hour doing heat simply because you have a lot of fat on you, but even when your body burns fat, it produces far more energy in form of ATP compared to when your body burns sugar. That's why you're able to walk a very long distance, you're able to jog a long distance, but you can't sprint a very long distance because our body will have to burn sugar fast, but it's in limited amounts. But then you have this fat on you which can never get done. So your body is consistently burning that fat because there's enough of it that can fuel it, even if it's for several days. But most people don't understand this. They understand I'll go do my burpees, do my high intensity interval training, and boom, lose weight. And instead of trying to lose weight, they're actually now getting weight because you're putting your body under a lot of stress, and then the cortisol and all that kind of stuff coming in, and then the hunger, you're eating more than usual. So all your efforts in the gym they are put to waste. So it's like how you said, it's understanding, what works for me, and then you go with that. Something that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy walking around your yard with your dog, hiking, and you enjoy that, you can do it every day. Do that. You get what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you need to get the right information. I know sometimes at the first you have to crash, yeah, maybe get misled. But I understand one day you understand what works for you and you perhaps go with that.
Yeah, and I think for anybody starting out too, a big part of diet culture is like the all or nothing, right? Like you're either all in or you're failing. And that's just not true. It's just not true. You need to start where you're at, right? And this is something I learned from my very good friend Aaron over at Fit Lab. Aaron, when I worked with him, I did a virtual personal training program with him. Something that he really taught me was because I went in there and I was like, Aaron, I hate weightlifting. I hate it. I don't really want to do it, but I know I need to. And so here I am. So please, like, design a program for me that I'm not going to hate. And he really took that to heart when we did that program. Um, and so it was finding ways to incorporate strength training that didn't make me feel like, what's the word, like I was going to be stuck like living in a gym for the rest of my life. A lot of it was resistance based, which I didn't even know. I mean, I knew about resistance bands, but all I had ever seen was, the girls who put the bands around their leg and they do squats, trying to get that booty popping. That was as much as I knew about resistance bands. Okay. But I learned so much from that. And I learned a way that I really enjoyed. Like, so now I know after I did that program, I learned like, okay, I like doing these kinds of exercises and I can do this. And it was very adaptable and I was able to fit it into my routine. Whereas when I started that program, I was like, I hate weightlifting. I just hate, yeah, I mean, I already had that in my mind. I already had that in my mind. So I really had to flip the switch rather, and say like, okay, I have to be open-minded about this. So you can try new things and find things you like. But if you hate it, like for me, something I tried several times to get into was like cardio dance workouts. I'm like, oh my gosh, these look so fun. Like people are doing these moves and they're having a good time. They're all smiling. I can't freaking dance. I can't dance. I just can't. My brain doesn't work where both my feet will go in the proper direction at the same time. Like trying to do dance
I
moves.
think the mind.
Yeah, so the last time that I tried a dance workout was last week. I talked about this in one of my videos. I actually put the clip of me getting like so angry. The last time that I did a dance workout, I was starting to get upset because I couldn't do it. And I stopped, and I happened to have been filming that day because I've been trying to film more of like what I do during the week. So I happened to have been filming, and I stopped the workout and I said, no, F this. Why do I keep trying to make myself do something that I hate and I don't like? I'm done. No more dance workouts. No more dance workouts because they just upset me because I don't end up enjoying them. And so what would happen previously, I've come a long way, but what would happen previously, I'd be doing this activity that I just didn't want to do. And I would stop because I'm like, I hate this. I hate why this is like torture to me. Or I wouldn't do it ever again. And it would take me another week or two to regain like the, I guess, motivation to go try something else. So it's just a matter of, I mean, like you're going to fail sometimes and there's going to be things like you try something new, but that's okay until you find something you love. And when you find something you love that makes you physically active and you look forward to doing, it's life changing. It's life changing. When I
Yeah,
made
it
my little,
is.
like I made a little game out of going to the track. I love my little game that I play, and it's only like it's in my head, but I like really look forward to it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try and go a little bit faster on this part. You know, like if you would have told me this a year ago, I would have been like, okay, you know, I'd be like, sure. That doesn't sound like me at all. But because I experimented and I found things that I really enjoyed doing, it just kind of works.
Yeah, and that's how it is. And this is why I always tell my clients, please, come on, I'm just 25 and my client is 50. So don't think we are going to work at the same intensities. We can't because our physiology is at that point, your physiology is different from mine. You see me doing high burpees, doing this and that. You can't do the same because I'm still young and energetic. So I have to look for something that is really suitable for you, easy for you, but you have something that you really enjoy. And most of my clients, I always start with them walking, and walking has given them like significant results. Trust me, because it's an exercise that most people underrate, but it's an effective exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated either. Like I think that's, from what we see on Instagram and what we see, just on social media in general, even sometimes YouTube, honestly. Like a lot of what we see is people doing these crazy exercises. And it's like it doesn't have to be all that. You just go for like you can walk and maybe do some squats, do some push-ups, like super simple. Like it does not have to be complicated. And I think that's just part of human nature, right? And it is part of diet culture too, is making it overcomplicated when it doesn't have to be,
Yes.
because if you,
So before you even go to your parting shots, I want to talk about your coffee and curry thing. Like, what's about your coffee?
so are you talking about caffeine and calories?
Yes, caffeine and curry.
Well, so really what caffeine and calories is my live stream that I host every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. It is completely live. And basically what caffeine and calories, how it started for me, I wanted to have a place, I don't know if the expression carries over overseas, but there's an expression here, we call it coffee talk. And so coffee talk is really when you just sit down with a friend and you have a casual conversation. And so I wanted to create a space that was not only really positive, but safe for people to come chat about their weight loss struggles, their wins, their, what's going on in their life, their experience, because most of the people who are trying to lose weight have been through very similar experiences, not identical, obviously, but very similar. So caffeine and calories. So we're not really talking about coffee. We drink coffee, but we're not really talking about coffee. But we are talking about calories and things that revolve around weight loss. Like, for example, we do all different topics. This Sunday, we are going to be talking about relationships and weight loss and how your relationships can change and how they have affected your weight loss. So we'll be talking about that this Sunday. Again, that's 10 a.m. Central Time right here on YouTube. It is a lot of fun. It's very supportive, and I have worked really hard to keep it a place that people want to be and feel really good about themselves when they leave, because we're all there to celebrate each other and cheer each other on. And I think if we change that, I mean, there are so many channels, there are so many channels that their whole thing is tearing overweight people down and making fun of overweight people. And I think that's kind of the norm. And those channels have hundreds, thousands, sometimes million subscribers, right? And that's the norm, is this kind of like meanness towards obese people. And I wanted something that was not that. I wanted a positive place where like-minded people could come together and cheer each other on. And that's what it is. And it's become, listen, I never expected it to become what it is now. It's truly amazing. I know I leave feeling like so pumped up for the week because it's just so motivating and inspiring.
Yeah, perfect. So in summary, because we talked a lot, how can someone, in some like parting shots, how can really someone, give them those breaks, how someone can actually overcome that obsession about diet, and then we get out of here?
So start up here, shift your mindset, find a way of eating that you can picture yourself doing for your entire life. You don't have to restrict yourself. You don't have to do crazy workouts. But what you do need to do is love yourself, and love
Yeah.
yourself enough so that you can live a long, healthy life, not just do a diet and then go off, do a diet again. For me, I know I made the switch when I decided that I didn't want to have to lose weight ever again. And I had to find something that I could do lifelong instead of, just temporary until I lost the weight.
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. So everybody who has been streaming this live, thanks so much, for your time and the comments in the live chat and everything. And if you're gonna watch this one later, please remember to comment in this very chat. Give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up so that we can know you actually did watch. Lightweight Sarah has a YouTube channel, as you can see on the screen. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel so that you can follow along about her talk, how you can keep up with weight loss and other kind of stuff. And I myself, I'm so excited to having you next time. Today's done. I mean, we can always have this anytime, any day.
Yeah, I'd love to come back anytime you want to chat. You let me know. I appreciate you so much for having me on your channel today. It was a lot of fun. It's a topic that I was super passionate about, and I could see you are too. And I hope that it really helps somebody out there realize, like, hey, I need to make a change.
Exactly. Otherwise, so it's morning that side, like you're going to work, you're going for a walk. What are you up to from here?
It's laundry day today. So
and don't forget Monday, it's a Women's Day. Please, happy Women's Day advance, especially in my country. It's a public holiday, guys. Women, we appreciate you.
That's awesome.
Otherwise, guys, see you in the next stream. Peace, my love. Bye.